This is the Chrysler stand at the Detroit Motor Show, and are you ready for a history lesson about another classic American car corporation? Now, Chrysler are going through a bit of a bad time at the moment, but historically, this is a company that has overcome many crises.
That's true, Howard, and did you know that Walter P. Chrysler was so intrigued with automotive technology and the way things worked on four wheels that he actually disassembled and reassembled a car before he even learned to drive?
Extraordinary, and he didn't have a box of spares at the end of it either.
Walter Chrysler was born in Kansas in 1875. He began his working life as a machinist's apprentice when he was 17. Chrysler turned his fascination for automobiles into a career by joining the Buick Motorcar Company in Flint, Michigan as a works manager. Buick became General Motors' first automotive division when GM incorporated in 1916. A year later, Walter Chrysler was named the division's president and general manager.
In 1928, Chrysler bought Dodge Brothers Inc., the automotive builders with a solid reputation for making vehicles with rugged dependability. The Dodge Brothers became famous for building the first car to drive into and out of the Grand Canyon. And by 1929, Chrysler had grown to become one of the big three leading automotive manufacturers.
Chrysler's commitment to research and development, even in the bleak 1930s, resulted in several Chrysler engineering innovations, including the patented floating power, an engine-mounting system which successfully isolated engine vibration away from the passengers and resulted in a smoother ride.
In the 1940s, American industry turned from consumer to defense production. Chrysler participated in many defense projects, most notably production of the 32-ton Sherman M4 tank. Chrysler produced 18,000 Sherman tanks, the main combat vehicle of the US and its allies in World War II. Chrysler supplied more than $3.4 billion in military equipment to the Allied forces.
After the war, Chrysler introduced the town and country sedans and convertibles and began limited production of its first hardtop convertible in 1946. In 1951, Chrysler introduced the first production power steering vehicle. Their first key-operated ignition and safety cushion dash were other Chrysler innovations of the early 50s, as well as the torsion air suspension system in 1957.
Drivers of Chrysler products built in 1955 were the first to enjoy the pleasures of Chrysler's all-transistor car radios. And 2 years later, curved side windows expanded the possibilities for automotive design. In the mid-1970s, petrol shortages, political uncertainty, high interest rates, severe inflation, and weakening consumer confidence drove Chrysler into a financial crisis. American consumer demand soared for smaller, more fuel-efficient cars.
And then the cavalry rode in. Well, the guys from the White House anyway. Saved by loan guarantees from the U.S. government, huge investments were made in new car factories all across Greater Detroit. President Carter signed into law an act which provided Chrysler $1.5 billion in federal loan guarantees. Chrysler was now in good health once again, and with the successful K-series of cars, started racking up the bucks again. In August 1983, Chrysler paid off the federal loan guarantees 7 years early at a profit of $350 million to the U.S. government.
In November 1983, production of Chrysler's minivans, the Dodge Caravan and the Plymouth Voyager began. The minivans created a new market segment and changed the way American families traveled. Minivans became Chrysler's best-selling vehicle, and the company was well on its way back to economic health.
Here at the Detroit Motor Show, more flair, style, and innovation from the Chrysler part of Daimler Chrysler. These days, Chrysler seems to be as innovative not just in its products, but in the way those products are launched. Here, the Cherokee arrives at the Detroit Motor Show, the driver shows he can handle the steps of the Cobo Center in this rugged 4x4, and then he doesn't let a silly sissy plate glass window get in the way. Absolutely smashing. And here, the press think a new truck is under the cloth, but it's actually above the stage, thumping its way to make a spectacular entrance. And how did they get this full-sized Voyager to leapfrog onto the stage? How did they do that?